welcome to this vlog around authenticity, and the title is why authenticity is as vulnerable as fuck. Bleep! I'm going to say bleep from now on. And this is something that has been really useful for me to do, because it's helped me to really look a little bit more deeply within myself around what this actually means. And the reason why this is so important to me is when I've looked at my core values, authenticity just comes up over and over. Honesty, authenticity, realness, genuine. And so I thought I'd delve deeper. So if, like me, you value that and you want to live a life as your true authentic self, you want to live a deeper, meaningful life, then this might be useful for you. If you want to speak your truth, set boundaries, that kind of stuff, this could be useful for you. And if you want to express yourself fully in your female power, in your full feminine power, this could also be useful for you. And you know, I'm learning on the job. I am not an expert at all. I'm going to share with you very openly and honestly today, quite vulnerably. You'll hear where I'm at, and I'm always changing, I'm upgrading, evolving. So, you know, in a year's time, this will be a totally different experience for me. But I do find that hearing people who are currently going through stuff is sometimes easier for me to relate and to then make changes than connecting with people who have already done it and been there, although that's really valuable too. So, I'm DJ Flourish, Caroline Kelf, and I offer bespoke raves for all types of scenarios, events, networking events, personal development events, to bring people into a more uplifted, motivated, high vibe, empowered and connected state, all through the power of rave. So I hold space and play on the decks. And I'm also a founder of Freedom Raving, which is a concept of using rave and meditation and self-love in order to move the body and to connect more to your inner world and your true self, and to release and energize and connect to other women, because I have a community of women. So that's what I do. So today I want to talk to you about what authenticity is, why it can feel so vulnerable, how I'm practicing it in terms of my relationships to other people, relationship to myself, how I've started to speak my truth more, and how uncomfortable that is, and how I've started to set boundaries, and then also authenticity in business, and then authenticity in actually shining your true, full expression. So, and I'm also going to share with you where I have some serious areas to learn, and I've got to go deeper with this, much deeper, and I will always be going deeper and deeper with this. So I want to start, I do have some notes and stuff, because I wrote quite a bit out, and I tried to put it in bullets, and then I got all in a tiz, so I've left the notes. So I will be referring to things, but I will try and be as engaged as possible for you. But first of all, I want to read for you what authenticity is in the dictionary. So it means undisputed, origin, not a copy, and genuine. And the thesaurus says legitimate, honest, reliable, original, one and only, proven, and realistic. And then Brené Brown, who is a researcher around authenticity, describes it as wholehearted living. So authenticity means cultivating courage to be emotionally honest, set boundaries, allow ourselves to be vulnerable, exercising the compassion that comes from knowing that we are all made of strength and struggle and connected to each other through a long and resilient human spirit. It's nurturing connection and sense of belonging that can only happen when we let go of what we are supposed to be and embrace who we are. Even when it's hard, when we are wrestling with shame and fear of not being enough, and especially when joy is so intense that we are afraid to let ourselves feel it. So that encompasses the whole of what I'm about to talk about. And so I'm going to share what authenticity means to me and you'll feel all of those things within that, but it's more about giving examples as well. So authenticity to me is not pretending to be someone I'm not. It is looking at the areas where there is deep shame and doing the work that's needed in order to look at why there's shame and to own parts of myself that would be judged by society, and with compassion and love, and that I'm judging, and be honest about it. It's about me speaking my truth, and that means asking for what I need, saying what I need, speaking my thoughts and opinions, knowing that I'm probably going to be judged or I could be rejected. For me, it's about serving from my heart and serving from a place of wanting to make a difference and having an impact versus my ego and money. It's for the greater good. It's also about being happy and joyful and allowing myself to have full expression of my true self and my inner child and my sexual goddess diva, and basically my full glory in this world. So all of that brings a lot of vulnerability with it, because, you know, not pretending to be someone I'm not means that I can't wear the mask of perfectionism or people pleasing. And those masks have been created at a very young age in order to keep me safe from rejection. It was, a safety thing, an automatic thing, and that's totally understandable. But that's why it's really vulnerable. So if you're a people pleaser and you have a mask of perfection, then being authentic is even harder. Being setting boundaries and again saying what I need is being open for judgment and being open for rejection as well. Owning parts of myself that would be judged by others is really uncomfortable, because I have to sit with knowing that I have caused other people pain and own that, but also look at why I behave like that. And that means looking at pain, and it means looking at trauma. Serving from my heart and giving to the world from a place of being impact driven it goes against the grain of what society it says is success, because success is money, it's number of followers, it's how busy we are. So to stay authentically aligned to giving from the heart is something that I have to continually keep reminding myself of when I'll take a heart-driven action, and then I will fall into ego. It's difficult, and it is also quite vulnerable, because you're giving from the heart. So if you get rejected, that's again vulnerable and uncomfortable. And then dancing like your true self, being happy and joyful and completely free, in this culture is not accepted. I mean, how many people are really truly accepted if you see people like, someone skipping down the street or something in total like happiness and joy? It freaks people out. They don't know what to do with themselves, even though we deeply desire it. There's a big conditioning around not allowed to be fully expressive, so that's pretty vulnerable. So I'm going to talk to you now about areas in my life that relate to all of those. So the first thing is I spoke about, owning my darkness and owning parts of myself. that I have shame around. But if I look at them with compassion and love, I've been able to, and acceptance and authenticity, I've been able to move past that shame more into a place of acceptance for myself, but also into a place of actually making change, taking action, and healing. So one area is the relationship to myself. So I've had a habit of disassociation where I leave my body a lot, and that is to do with the shame of not wanting to look, but it was also a safety mechanism from physical trauma that I had. And this played out as 20 years of bulimia. So it was a lot safer place for me to just be out of my body and in addiction than it was for me to actually look at stuff that had happened to me. And I'm still very much going through that process. I'm still very much building safety back into my body and allowing trauma and pain to surface and be expressed. But it's extremely vulnerable and courageous to look at trauma and to understand the masks that have been created to protect you, because when you delve under and you start to get to it, another mask will come across, because the psyche is very clever, or my psyche is very clever at protecting me, and it's quite hard to look at trauma and your behaviour and the mask and everything if you have a big judgment stick, which is what I have, and it's quite hard to be curious and open and compassionate. So it takes a lot of work. It's taking me a lot of work, but not looking at stuff is now becoming more painful to me than actually looking at it. And I think the belief is starting to break down now that pain is uncomfortable, because I'm actually starting to realise that pain is actually liberating when we actually go into it and welcome it and accept it. So it's also been very vulnerable for me to look at myself, because I have behaved in ways that have not been, I'd say, the best. I've been malicious. I've been a bully. I've wanted to hurt people. I have not behaved very well in relationships when I was younger, and I still don't behave. I still have shadow dark sides. Well, we all do, but I've got this thing that mine's worse than everyone else's. I'm darker than everybody else. But if I look at those with compassion and go, all right, do you know what? I've got a malicious side in me. I've got a selfish side in me. I've got a darker side in me. And this is all, as I'm learning more and more, it's like a wounded masculine energy. And if I own it and welcome it and let it be there rather than resisting and the shame around it, it just feels a lot more freer and authentic. And it's such a relief. It's such a relief to forgive myself for that. And also, me sharing this with you now, I don't know about you, but when you see like a celebrity who's like on a pedestal and then they own up to having a mental health issue, it just opens our heart, doesn't it? It opens your heart to them. You feel compassion towards them. So I'm hoping that you are feeling compassion towards me, because I'm being open and honest and true about my darker sides. Imagine if politicians were more open about the fact that they messed up and fucked up, but they're doing their best. That's all I'm doing. That's what I'm doing, and it's humbling, and it's what the world needs. So me being open with my darkness and sharing that, I find it tough, and I have some real parts of myself that I'm not proud of, just gives other people permission to have that too, rather than this perfectionism the whole time. So another area where I have to own, and so this shows up in my relationship with my husband, because one of my darker sides is that I can fall into martyr and blame, and because of this not being good enough. So like I can build up a lot of resentment because I don't feel appreciated, and then I will nitpick and passive aggress and not say how I'm really feeling, and just dig at him until there's either a massive explosion or he just basically tells me to fuck off and he's had enough of it. And I'm learning now to start to say, when I'm going down that route of I don't feel appreciated, you know, I'm doing this, this and this, or I've got that part of me that's wanting to hurt you and wanting to nitpick at you and wanting to passive aggress at you. And then we can have an adult conversation where he can say, I'm really freaking busy with work, blah, blah, blah. I totally appreciate you and I love you. It's got nothing to do with that. Or I can just own the projections that I'm having onto him and then do my inner work that I need to do. Now, this is new, this is early stuff, you know, but the more and more I'm finding, the more and more I can own when I'm going into the more darker sides, which are surrounded with shame and victimhood, then and I'll bring it to the forefront and communicate it. We're being authentic and we're being adult-like rather than stuck in child. So that's one way. And then another way that I am really having to do some work on myself is owning stuff around my own childhood, and then my parenting skills with my daughter, because I was living in fear of my daughter going through what I went through, and so then I have had to own the fact that loving her unconditionally has been very difficult for me, and I'm carrying a lot of expectation towards her, but also a lot of disassociation towards her. And I've had to really, really look at this. I've had help from psychotherapists as well to help me look at this. But to own the fact that you have potentially emotional abusive tendencies towards your child because of your own childhood takes a lot of courage, and it's extremely vulnerable to look at that and to own it. But it's given me so much space and empowerment to move forward and to become the mum that I know I can be. And I'm very much on the journey with this. But I'm now getting to the point where if I'm starting to feel shame around an area, I know I have work to do. And so the next step is to own the parts of myself that I'm shameful of, let them in, allow them in, and then start to make change. So there are areas that I'm working on now. One of them is my white privilege. I feel ashamed that I'm not utilising it, and I feel overwhelmed. I don't know what I can do. And I also feel that I haven't been educated. I'm miseducated, and I don't understand. So my next step is to own all of that, love it, and then to educate myself. So I've ordered a book, and I will be making changes around that this year. Another area is my daughter's education. I feel totally like overwhelmed and ashamed that that she's been taught stuff that I don't think is giving her the grounding and the tools that she needs in order to become the best version of herself in this world. And I've not been looking at it, I haven't really known how to deal with it, but I'm going to welcome the overwhelm. I'm going to welcome the fear of stepping out and doing something different, because I can feel that we're going to have to do something different. And I'm going to be bold and brave, and I'm going to be authentic. So this is a constant, this is a constant upgrade, constant looking, constant, self-inquiry, and it takes courage and vulnerability. So the next thing I wanted to talk to you about was speaking your truth. And what does that even mean, speaking your truth? So I sometimes get a bit caught up in, does it mean speaking your truth? Truth is that we're one, we're all, made from the same underneath, that our stories and bodies are all just, just stories, and they're not the real truth underneath. And yes, I very much have that as part of my spiritual practice, and it's something that comes through in the music choices that I make, because it's something that my heart deeply desires, is to be part of that oneness. But also, I'm a human being, I'm human, and that's just one facet of it, of the whole experience, I believe. And speaking your truth is more about saying what you need. It's honouring yourself and setting radical boundaries so that you can protect yourself and thrive in this world as your authentic self. So for the purpose of this talk, it's very much about the latter, and it's something I'm only just learning in lots of ways. So so in some ways it's about owning the fact that I, as a person and a human, need to have quite a few rests. Not a lot, but I need to, because I've got a lot of energy in me, I need to have lots of rest. But that's been really hard for me, because I found it difficult because the society doesn't support that. It doesn't support like a little sleep in the afternoon, or lots of like moments to re-center, that kind of stuff. It's accepting that I go to bed early. I need to go to bed early. I don't function if I go to bed after 10 o'clock. But when people say to me, oh, come on, it's all right at the moment because we're in lockdown. But, if I was to say that to someone, I thought, I want to be home by 9 o'clock because I like to go into bed early. It's hard for me because of the people pleaser, but that is my truth. It's accepting that, I have a huge family, and big family dues affect me energetically. And I've really struggled with owning that and like being, well, it's okay. Because they are really into, having lots of people together, and it overwhelms me. So, but to own it and just go, yeah, that's okay. That's just the way it is. It's such a relief. It's such a relief. It's also, I've had to own the fact that I really only have relationships with women that are quite deep, where we can talk more than surface level stuff. I went for a walk with someone the other day, and I was talking to her about a situation I'm in, and she pulled me up on something, was able to say to me, you need to own your stuff in that, you're doing that. And I'm like, yeah, I do, and I want friends like that. I want friends where we can grow and develop and support each other and be there for each other. And that's more the kind of friendship that I want. So I've moved away from a lot of friendships, and that at the time has been tough. But the more and more I speak my truth, the more and more I feel this like empowerment. I'm coming into my skin, So that's one area where speaking your truth is just owning stuff that other people in society don't think is, don't value, but you saying, no, I value that, you know, and honouring it. There are deeper things though, you know, for me, there are, you know, some people in my life that it's been quite hard for me to actually speak my truth and what I need and how I feel, because it wasn't safe to do that when I was younger. So if you're in a situation where, you know, it is hard for you to say what you really need to someone who's very close to you, I totally get that. I've actually had to work with a psychotherapist in order to start to do that, and I've had to have a psychotherapist there while I say what I need, it is toe-curlingly uncomfortable. It's made me feel like I'm going to die if I say it, and I'm in a lot of fear, but something has shifted, and I'm starting to really, was going round and round in circles with boundaries. Like, these are the things I need in order for us to thrive. These are the things I need in order for me to feel safe in this relationship. These are the things that I need. And we just kept going round in a circle. I would say my boundaries would get broken. I couldn't say what I wanted. Round, until it just kept breaking down. And now I'm very clear on those boundaries, and I know that it's going to be uncomfortable and I'm going to have to say them again. And but the more and more I say it, the more and more I'm coming into my truth and into this place of wholehearted living and authenticity and truth and power and alignment, rather than feeling like something's off, out of control, overwhelmed, you know, open to attack. So if you do have anyone in your life where boundaries were overstepped and you find it really, really tough, I get it. I really, really get it. I'm only just starting with this, but I have a feeling, and I've always said it, that when I really started to speak my truth in this particular area, things would really start changing, and they are starting to change. So I'm proud of myself. And then also, I know what else is coming in terms of speaking my truth. I know that I want to start, speaking out about things in the, because I get very triggered by people who are, doing, speaking out at rallies and stuff like that. And I know it's because that's where I'm heading, probably to do with the education system. And but I know people that have done some amazing things, and yes, they've been really, really judged, and it's freaked me out. But I just feel like that's when you really come into your truth and your power, when you really start to speak about stuff that is going to really change the world, and you're really, really speaking from your heart. So speaking your truth. The next thing is authenticity in business. So I feel that the personal development world lacks authenticity. I think it lacks consideration for the uniqueness of people's welfare, and I think it is full of false promises and quick fixes, which are to make money. And there are also forms of spirituality that encourage spiritual bypassing. So it's all to do with love and oneness and stuff, but it's not. I've just shared with you quite honestly and vulnerably what a spiritual journey is, and it's looking and owning and having the courage and willingness to face yourself. Plus, love and light doesn't solve the absolute shambles that this world is in. So just going back to authenticity in business and the personal development industry, my business is very much based on the well-being of women. I'm really considerate about the well-being of women. All the freedom raves and bespoke raves that I do, I don't claim to be anything that I'm not. Yes, I do claim that it motivates and uplifts, because it does, and I've had a lot of feedback from that. Any kind of movement and dancing will do that, but I will start every rave or with new people, just, you know, being open and honest and saying, you know, this is just about you exploring. If it feels too much, you don't do it. If it feels too little, you just follow your own intuition. Everybody's different. Some people can drop into a deep meditation. Some people can't. Some people have a deep connection to their body. Some people, it's frightening to be in their body. So, and I make that very clear from the beginning. And I feel like it's a much more authentic way to deliver what I'm delivering, rather than claiming that all these things are going to solve everything for you. There's lots of like A to B will get you there, and these 5 steps will do that. And I just feel it's inauthentic. You know, we're all so unique. Our experience is going to be different. And also, authenticity in business to me means following my gut instinct. So, and that is just across the whole board, really, in the whole of my life. So I have, you know, it's been quite difficult for me to follow my gut instincts because of this need to control and pushing myself through and self-judgment and everything. But when I really authentically listen to the next step, or to potentially a person that I feel connected to, or whatever, it's when things have really opened up. So if I'm in a networking event, I don't do the sell, I just think about who I'm connecting to, and then I will make contact with them afterwards. It's a feeling, and I'll just be open and honest. Don't know why, I feel like I need to connect with you. Don't know. It's just, I'm just constantly following like my guidance, my authentic guidance. And I do that within my business as well. Each next step has been from this feeling of what's next. Although I have ignored it, and I ignored it in December, because the next obvious step was to do something in January around high vibe raving, in order to, you know, start the year off, all that kind of stuff. And my gut was like, no, you shouldn't be doing it. But the wounded masculine was like, we will do it. It's the right time. Push. And so I did it. And obviously we'd just gone into lockdown again. So I was homeschooling. And even though I did bring it back into a place of giving, because it helped a lot of people, I had over 50 women sign up. Even though it really did help with that, it was exhausting for me. And then I didn't get any sign-ups to my Freedom Raving membership, and I kind of knew that was gonna happen. And my instinct and my authenticity has been telling me to wait, because something is changing, and I don't know what it is. Whether it's me needing to look more at myself, whether it's to do with my daughter and schooling, whether it's to do with my business and something else coming in, I don't know, but I knew that I just needed to wait, and I need to wait now. So that's vulnerable, and it's uncomfortable, because I don't know what's happening, but it's authentic. And so, yeah, so your gut is your authenticity. And then finally, so we've done authenticity in relationship to yourself and relationships, speaking your truth, authenticity in business, and now authenticity in being your true shining light. And this one is probably the most vulnerable. Something that I sometimes, when I've just said about authenticity in business and following your gut, sometimes there can be resistance because there's fear, you know, and I get mixed up. Is this fear of shining my light, or is this my gut telling me it's not the right time? And now looking back, and I know the difference in the feeling now, I can feel that the no doesn't have a resistance, it's just a no. Whereas the fear of being seen is like, really resistant. And when I've done work to look at, you know, why am I worried about this? Why am I worried about this? Fear of being seen, people pleasing, when you get to the right bottom, when the tears come, it's like, I don't want to be seen. I'm frightened of my light. I am frightened of my light. I'm frightened of my magnificence. Okay? And I know that sounds really egotistical, but it's not. You know, I help people to express and have fun and, you know, let go and stuff like that. And Brené Brown says, when joy is so intense, we are afraid to allow ourselves to feel it. And that is what can happen when I'm raving. I can really get so excited and like free and out there. And it feels like I might get shot or, you know, or, you know, I can feel an energy of no, we can't let that happen. We can't let it be seen. So I think this is a massive cultural thing. I think this goes back years and years and years. It's all to do with the feminine, you know, and it's the feminine energy coming in, and then it's the wounding masculine squashing it kind of thing. So, you know, I mean, I get triggered by people who are really happy. I'm like, oh, fuck off, you know, or women who are really in their own sexual power. You know, that really triggers me. But it's because I want it and I know it's in me and I'm frightened of letting her out. So, you know, it's not only vulnerable to be authentic and honest about ourselves and our darker sides and speak our truth, it's even more vulnerable to show ourselves off in our full glory. So yeah, I hope that's helped you. I know it's a bit of a long one today, but it's hugely helped me to look at this. It's a deep subject, and I'd really love your opinion and any feedback, whether it resonates to any area in your life, whether it's looking at yourself in relationships to others, where you might be not wanting to look, you know you're not looking and you need to look. Owning the parts of you that are darker. You know, are there any areas where you want to speak more of your truth? Maybe if it's just a little bit where you're like, I don't want to go to those kind of events anymore, or I don't want to socialize with those people anymore, you know, little incremental steps. Or is it a big thing where you've got to set a massive boundary with someone? Or are you being authentic in your business? Are you listening to your gut, or are you getting caught up in shoulds? Should. And believe me, I get caught up in shoulds on probably a minute basis. So I'm not an expert. I'm just sharing openly and honestly, and I really hope that this has supported you. Bye for now.